Thank you, sir. We're about to start in a few minutes.
We ended up in the same position that we started with, and that is we cannot cooperate with the ICC considering the very serious questions about their jurisdiction and about what we consider to be interference and practically attacks on the sovereignty of the Republic.
From the nation's capital, all sides, all the time, I'm Edwin Gao.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. The big story tonight.
The International Criminal Court rejects the Philippine government's request to suspend its probe into the bloody war on drugs of the Duterte administration.
This follows the ICC's decision to resume the drug war probe back in January, which the Philippines sought the reversal of just 2 weeks ago. The ICC's appeals chamber says in its ruling that the Philippine government failed to provide persuasive reasons to suspend the investigation into the war on drugs. Still, the ICC notes that the Philippines is free to conduct its own probe into the drug war. In a statement, Solicitor General Bernardo Guevara said they are saddened by the ICC's decision. But the OSG clarifies that the resolution of the Philippines' main appeal against the resumption of the probe remains pending. Despite the decision, the Solicitor General maintains that the Philippines will not cooperate with the ICC, citing supposed serious and far-reaching consequences. Guevara says the ruling is an indictment against the Philippines' entire legal and judicial system and that it encroaches into the country's sovereignty.
Meanwhile, for the National Union of People's Lawyers, or NUPL, the decision means that it is all systems go for the investigation into the drug war. Cristina Conti, NUPL NCR Secretary General and the ICC's assistant to the council, believes that all victims should also be able to participate in the proceedings. As for President Bongbong Marcos, there is nothing left to say when it comes to the ICC and its persistence on investigating the drug war. He says government does not have a next move and that decision ends all the Philippines' involvement with the ICC. President Marcos also believes that they consider the ICC probe to be interference and an attack on the country's sovereignty.
Hindi na tayo pwedeng appeal. The appeal has failed, and in our view, there's nothing more that we can do in the government, and so at this point, we essentially are disengaging from any contact, from any communication, I guess, with the ICC.
Here to join us for a discussion on the ICC's decision, we have with us on the show Solicitor General Bernardo Guevara. He's joining us live via Zoom. Welcome to The Big Story.
Good evening, Gretchen.
Hey, sir, can you explain to us a little bit more about this main ruling that is pending? Ano po exactly yun? At is it possible to still suspend the probe?
Alam mo, mabuti at natanong mo yan, Gretchen, no? Because we want to clarify that it is not the appeal itself which has been rejected by the ICC Appeals Chamber. The appeal is still pending. We don't even know when it will be resolved by the Appeals Chamber. What was rejected in the meantime was our request for suspensive effect pending the resolution of the appeal. So, yun lamang naman ang dinenay, no, ng Appeals Chamber. But it also means na despite the pendency of our appeal questioning jurisdiction and assigning so many errors upon the pretrial chamber, still the appeals chamber found it proper to continue the investigation pending appeal. And we are quite disappointed with that. Kahit dito, Gretchen, pag meron tayong ang decision ng isang lower court ay on appeal sa higher court, then that decision is not yet final and is not ready for execution. Dito sa ICC, pending yung appeal, at ang kino-question nga natin ay yung patuloy nilang pag-iimbestigasyon. Yet, dinina yung ating request for suspensive effect. So tuloy ang investigasyon kahit pending ang ating appeal. And that is very, very disappointing.
Sir, just to qualify or to clarify, kasi nga sabi nga ninyo, hindi naman nireject yung mismong appeal. But on the other hand, the President is saying that we are stopping or ceasing all communications with the ICC. So, paano po yun? Are we pursuing the pending appeal or are we saying, forget it, we don't care what you have to say about this?
And I think I'll have to clarify that with the President. No? Baka the President might be laboring under the impression that it was the appeal itself that has been denied or dismissed. So maybe pagka na-explain ko sa kanya na on pa rin naman yung appeal, ay baka ang ibig sabihin nun ay let's wait until the appeals chamber renders its decision on the appeal. But in the meantime, tama naman ang Presidente. Wala na tayong gagawin ngayon dahil hindi na tayo makikipag-cooperate muna. Dahil parang from our point of view, hindi naman correct na kinu-question natin yung jurisdiction, kinu-question natin yung mga legal errors committed by the pretrial chamber, and yet, ipagpapatuloy nila yung investigation. That is the very subject matter of the appeal. So, kaya ang ibig sabihin ng Presidente, wala na tayong gagawin kung hindi not to cooperate. At tama naman yun.
Pero sir, iba kasi po yung iba yung yung we will not communicate with them for now at least until madesisyonan yung pending ruling o yung pending appeal. Iba yung we're not talking to them at all anymore. From your point of view, sir, so if I'm getting you right, what you're saying basically is that you still want to maintain contact with the ICC until matapos tong issue.
From my perspective, it is worthwhile to wait for the decision of the appeals chamber on the appeal itself, no? But for now, we will not cooperate in the sense that we have no legal duty to cooperate kasi nga pending pa yung appeal natin. So yun lang naman probably ang ibig sabihin ng Presidente. Maybe if I have explained to him that the appeal is still on, that it has not been dismissed, then probably he will say na, let's wait then for the resolution of the appeal itself, no? In case.
Sir, can you confirm this statement by Attorney Cristina Conti of the National Union of People's Lawyers that the Philippines just hired London-based lawyer Sarah Bafadel to assist the OSG in the appeal on the deferral of the investigation?
That is correct. We do not deny that. We always engage whenever necessary foreign counsel or foreign consultants, no, with fields of expertise in areas na kulang ang experience ng Office ng Solicitor General. For example, in international commercial arbitrations, we usually engage the help of foreign counsel who are more familiar with the procedures in international proceedings. That includes the ICC. Gretchen.
And how do you see this probe continuing? What exactly does not cooperating with the ICC mean at this point?
Well, that simply means, Gretchen, that should the ICC prosecutor seek any official help from the Philippine government, like for example, serving summons on certain individuals, then or asking for certain information or data, perhaps the Philippine government will not be extending that kind of assistance. If that information could be obtained elsewhere by the ICC prosecutor, then so be it. Bahala siya.
Sir, pahabulan sir, kasi the last time we talked, I think it was 2 weeks ago with the chiefs, I remember you were raising the question of jurisdiction of the ICC, considering na as far as the government is concerned, the Philippine government announced its withdrawal from the ICC as of March 2018, and that was before the ICC officially opened its investigation. However, ang sabi po ni Prosecutor Fatou Bensouda, then Prosecutor Fatou Bensouda, The ICC preliminary examination began February 2018, or a month before the Philippine government announced its withdrawal. And that is their position. That's the position she made in her statement in I think, June 2021. So, yun po, I think there's a bit of difference or in the interpretation of when nagsimula ang investigasyon.
Yes, Ed, exactly. Yun nga yung legal issue which is pending before the appeals chamber, no? Interpretation yon ni Ben Saudan, no? Na yung kanyang ex parte or unilateral gathering of data of evidence, no, or information is part of what is known as the preliminary investigation proper. Take note that her successor, no, itong si Karim Khan, formally asked for the authorization to commence investigation only in September of 2021. And that was long after the effectivity of the Philippines withdrawal from the ICC took effect in March of 2019. So there is a difference of interpretation there, no?
Yes,
and
sir.
that is one legal issue that the appeals chamber will have to resolve.
Okay. Sir, pahabol na lang. Sorry, one more. Isa pa. Don't worry, sir. Marami pa tayong bala mamaya. Pero anyway, one more question, sir. Si Presidential Chief Legal Counsel Juan Poncenrile earlier said actually earlier threatened to arrest ICC investigators who insist on traveling to the Philippines to conduct any investigation as of last year. I'm wondering what our position is as far as that is concerned.
Ed, kung wala namang crime na ginagawa or violation of any laws, yung mga taga-ICC, hindi naman sila arrestuhin. They will only be arrested if they commit any violation of Philippine laws, no? Pero kung sila ay mag-gather lang naman ng information, kukuha ng affidavit, and so forth and so on, there's nothing wrong with that. But definitely, they're not welcome. They're not welcome.
Yes, sir. But that would not be a violation. That would not be illegal, and they would not be subject to arrest if they gather, for example, evidence or they gather affidavits, as you said.
That is not illegal. So I don't think that will be a ground for arrest. Ed.
Okay, maraming salamat po, Solicitor General Bernardo Guevara. We will have more in-depth discussion with the Solgen on the chiefs after this program. Sir, thank you po. With the El Nino season fast approaching, the government admits that there is a looming water crisis in the country. The Local Water Utilities Administration says that the decreasing water supply is already affecting the country's economy, the agriculture sector, and even Filipinos' health. The agency says conservation programs and the cooperation of both the public and private sectors are needed to address the potential impact of the dry season on our water resources. The agency adds that it will roll out infrastructure to ensure more sources of water, especially in the provinces.
It's the whole nation approach na tayong lahat po dito ay kailangan magkaroon ng tinatawag natin na conservation program para sa ating water resources. Dahil po ang ating bansa ngayon ay masasabi natin na ngayon pa lang itong buwan na ito ay nakikita na natin na nararamdaman na natin ang pangangailangan nating tubig.
With temperatures on the rise, some schools are switching to online classes to keep their students and faculty safe from the intense summer heat. Mobile journalist Pamela Vasquez with the report.
Before the COVID-19 pandemic, the months of April and May were usually associated with the summer break. But now, with the changes in the school calendar, students and teachers alike battled extreme heat along with schoolwork. Many teachers say that this setup is not ideal. A survey conducted by the Alliance of Concerned Teachers showed that 67% or nearly 8,000 teachers experience intolerable heat in their classrooms. This is why some students are having a hard time concentrating in class. Some are also opting to skip classes. Extreme heat also tends to trigger asthma in some students. Some schools like the Mindanao State University in General Santos City have already suspended in-person classes, shifting to online classes for this week.
We take into consideration the welfare of our faculty members, especially our senior faculty members, and our medically and physically vulnerable students to avoid untoward incidents related to heat stroke, dehydration, and other problems brought nga nitong.
Students of the university welcome this consideration from the school.
glad po kami kasi i-take nila kami into consideration yung situation po namin sa school kasi especially sa Jensen po kasi kami nag-aaral and Jensen pa lang po mainit na.
The Alliance of Concerned Teachers is now hoping that the Education Department would consider adjusting class schedules, avoiding hours in the afternoon that are too hot. The ACT also suggests alternating between physical and online classes this summer. They are also advocating to revert the academic calendar back to its pre-pandemic setup.
Kakaiba yun. Mahalaga ay tuloy-tuloy pag-aaral pero sa paraan na hindi sa kumbaga sa ay maluwag sa bahagi ng pagtuturo ng parehas ng teacher at saka ng estudyante.
DepEd said that schools have the discretion to suspend in-person classes when they feel the environment is not conducive for learning. When this happens, DepEd said that schools can switch to blended learning to keep classes going. Mobile journalist Pamela Vasquez, We Are One News.
After the break, filing of taxes is seen to become less taxing. BIR Region 4's Emmanuel Ferrer will join us for a discussion on this when the big story returns. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching The Big Story here on One News. Malacanang has approved the proposal to merge two state-run banks, the Land Bank of the Philippines and the Development Bank of the Philippines. Finance Chief Ben Jokno defended the merger plan in today's palace briefing. He said that the merging of the two public lenders would result in the country's biggest bank in terms of assets. Jokno also cited the need to strengthen the government bank amid issues in the global banking sector. The merger is expected to save the government 5 billion pesos per year. It's expected to take effect this year, but so far there is still no definite timeline.
By merging the two, it will now become the number one bank in the Philippines. And that's really the best practice. The biggest bank usually is owned by the state globally.
The filing of income tax returns is just around the corner, and the Bureau of Internal Revenue just made it easier for taxpayers to do so. Now you can file your tax returns and pay the corresponding dues anywhere. Through Revenue Memorandum Circular Number 32/2023, dated March 3, the BIR made the File and Pay Anywhere scheme, doing away with penalties imposed on filing in the wrong venue. This means that the filing of the annual income tax returns may be done through any BIR-authorized banks or revenue collection officers. The circular also states that taxpayers who are mandated to use the BIR's electronic filing and payment system shall file their AITRs electronically and pay the correct taxes due through the banks where they are enrolled. If filing cannot be made through EFPS due to reasons mentioned in the circular, taxpayers should use the eBIR forms in filing. BIR Commissioner Romeo Lumagi Jr. said the policy is part of the Bureau's efforts to provide optimal services to taxpayers. Lumagi called on taxpayers to avoid the rush and not wait until the April 17 deadline, asking for their help to raise around 2.6 trillion pesos this year. And here to explain to us further the BIR's new mandate on tax payments, we have with us BIR Revenue Region 4 Regional Director, Mr. Emmanuel Ferrer. Sir, magandang gabi and welcome to The Big Story.
Good evening, Sir Ed and Ma'am Gretchen. Magandang gabi po sa inyo lahat.
Thank you po for joining us tonight. Sir, in layman's terms, in practical terms, ano po ibig sabihin nito para sa mga ordinaryong taxpayer?
Pwede na po sila mag-file ng kanilang income tax returns at magbayad ng kanilang buwis anywhere po, regardless of whatever RDO they are registered. Previously po kasi ang patakaran ng BIR dyan is pwede lang sila mag-file at magbayad ng kanilang buwis doon kung saan sila registered na Revenue District Office. But now, because of the policy of the Commissioner that the BIR should be transforming itself into a more service-oriented agency, hinahayaan na po natin mag-file anywhere and mag-pay anywhere ang ating mga taxpayers.
Okay, sir, para po sa mga magsusulat po doon sa cheque, kasi dati kasama po doon yung branch. O ano po yung magbabago doon?
Okay lang po yung payment through checks as long as it's payable to the BIR po, Bureau of Internal Revenue.
Oo. When it comes to digital payments, is there any directive that we are going to finally or eventually witness full digital tax payments? Is that a possibility here in the Philippines?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, it is a possibility, and the BIR has been really pursuing its digital processes and its digital transformation. Actually, after the past years, nakikita na po natin yung decline ng mga taxpayers natin na nagbabayad over the counters. Particularly for Revenue Region number 4, noong 2020, from 32.33% yung manual filers natin, naging 12.16% na lang noong 2021, and noong 2022 po is 0.32% na lang. So a lot of people, or particularly taxpayers, are already shifting to the electronic filing and payment system.
Sir, maaari mo po bang ipaliwanag what are the digital options of people in filing and paying their taxes? I am aware of the EFPS, but it's not open for everybody. How about for the ordinary taxpayers? How can they do those digital payments?
Actually, yung EFPS naman po is available for every taxpayer as long as they wanted to. There are certain taxpayers lang that are mandated to use it. Meron din po tayong tinatawag na EBIR forms. These are the electronically generated returns for those taxpayers who have no payments or zero payment returns. Yun, they can use that po. But for others, they can still opt to use the manual payment or the manual filing of tax returns. But then again, we're encouraging them to avail of these electronic facilities. Nang sa gano'n naman, malbawasan na po natin yung queue at yung mga pila sa ating mga district offices.
Sir, your target, I understand, is to hit 2.6 trillion pesos coming from earnings of 2022. Now, if looking back to 2021, 2.7 trillion coming from both BIR and COSOM. So, medyo malaki-laki po yung gusto nyong idagdag. I think in 2021, you hit 2.07. Now you're aiming for what, around 600 billion pesos more? Is that correct? And how optimistic or how likely is that?
Of course, we are very optimistic that we'll be hitting the target of 2.599 trillion this year. Last year, ang nakolekta po ng BIR is around 2.3 trillion po, which is 12% increase from that of 2021's tax take. So with that said, we are very optimistic that given the reforms that we have already instituted, and at the same time, yung tax campaign natin for this year, we are hopeful and we are very optimistic that the good turnout would be for the taxpayers this year, and at the same time, they would be getting better voluntary compliance from them.
Okay, sir, good luck po at we hope you hit your targets.
Good luck sa ating lahat.
Good luck din po sa ating lahat.
Salamat po, BIR Revenue Region 4 Regional Director Emmanuel Ferrer. More stories after the break. Keep it here in One News.
watching the big story here on One News.
Despite the absence of an arrest warrant, Justice Secretary Boying Remulla says that Congressman Arnulfo Tevez Jr. is already considered a fugitive for being suspected of committing a crime. This came in response to Tevez's legal counsel's claim that the lawmaker is not a fugitive since government has yet to issue a warrant of arrest against him. Remulla says Tevez is considered to be one of the masterminds in the killing of Governor Roel Degamo and 8 others, adding that they are currently looking at 2 or 3 possible masterminds in the killing. But when asked why an arrest warrant has yet to be issued against Tevez, Remulla says that it is because of due process.
They're being considered as masterminds, but I don't know yet. I have to get it from the panel of prosecutors. But right now, the way it's progressing, that's the direction we're heading to.
And before we go, more non-native speakers will get to learn how to speak Tagalog and the wonderful art of distinguishing between the use of nang and nang. That's after Harvard University announced that it will offer a Tagalog language course. Aside from Tagalog, the US Ivy League school will be offering courses in Bahasa Indonesia and Thai. With this, Harvard will be hiring 3 instructors to teach the languages for the upcoming academic year. The teaching positions last for 3 years and are renewable for 5 more years.
And that's the big story tonight. For more updates, follow News 5, the Philippine Star, and Business World Online. You may also log on to onenews.ph for more in-depth analysis. I'm Ed Lingao.
The big story is also available via Signal Play app. Make a free account now at signalplay.com and stream One News anytime, anywhere. I'm Gretchen Ho. Stay safe, Philippines.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.